Hi, I'm Rae Jepsen, and you're watching France 24. We are here today to talk about my album, Dedicated.
She's one of Canada's biggest pop stars, selling dozens of millions of albums over the past decade. Rae Jepsen has perfected the art of catchy, upbeat, and yet heart-crushing synth-pop hits. Unless you've been hiding under a rock these past couple of years, you've definitely heard Call Me Maybe or I Really Like You. The Juno-winning, Grammy-nominated star sat down with us before a recent gig in Paris to talk about her fourth album. So you're currently touring your fourth album, Dedicated, which came out last year. What have been the highlights so far?
Oh my gosh, it's been pretty crazy. It was about 7 months we were on the road straight. Highlights. I loved New Zealand. We got to go horseback riding and to wine country too, so that was wonderful. And I feel like whenever I go to a place that I haven't been too much before and the theater is actually full of people that like know your songs, it still trips me out. And that was one of those nights where I was like, pinch me, somebody, this is crazy.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
The latest single off your record is called Let's Be Friends, which describes the pitfalls of modern dating. I have a little bit of a When Harry Met Sally question for you.
Okay.
Is it possible to stay friends after a horrible date?
I do believe it's possible if you both want the exact same thing and if there's a lot of maturity on both sides. But I think more often than not, it's just something that we say and don't mean, and eventually you kind of become strangers again. And so this was a song sort of just cutting to the truth of it. It was just like, let's be friends and never speak again.
Let's just be honest
about it.
If only
it could be that easy.
The world would be a much better place.
Yeah, it would be mean, but it would be fun.
Let's be friends, then never speak again. Ooh, it's cool. We can just pretend we're friends and never speak again. See you soon. Hope we can remain good friends.
Now, you've been in the industry for over a decade now, and you gained international fame with your Call Me Maybe in 2012. Were you ever worried about getting trapped in that song?
Yeah, of course. I think anyone would be. It's so exciting to see a song take off in that way. And then it's also just a little jarring of like, oh, especially for me because I knew it wasn't the only style of music that I wanted to make. And as a writer, I was kind of worried that if I went in any different direction that I might not, it might not be as accepted. But there was a point where I just realized that you still have to go there. You've got to kind of be authentic in what you're making and be passionate about it. So I think I finally found my footing with emotion, and then to my surprise, it kind of connected with the right people, and that's all I need.
And do you still enjoy singing that song?
Yeah, it's whatever kind of sort of worries or stress I had about it have like dissipated just with getting 2 other albums out since, and now it's just sort of a nostalgic sort of sing along in the night. If anything, actually, a funny fact is that of all the songs in the world, that's the one where I sometimes forget the lyrics, and I've sung it the most. But I think it's just because I go into like routine robot mode. But yeah, that always lasts because then you go like this, and then they just finish it for you.
So yeah, it's convenient. Just get other people to sing it for
exactly.
you.
Hey, I just met you, and this is crazy, but here's my number, so call me maybe. And all the other boys try to chase me, but here's my number, so call me.
You have a strong fan base within the LGBTQ community, and you've actually been very outspoken about your support for LGBTQ rights. Do you feel like the fact that stars like you talk about these issues has helped move things forward?
Oh man, I'd like to think so. I think in general, the space that I want to create in any room, in any theater, is one of acceptance and love, and just like come as you are, and everything is welcome. So I feel like if that message is, it should be everywhere in the world, really. But yeah, I hope so. I hope so.
When I party, then I party too much. When I feel it, then I feel it too much. When I'm thinking, then I'm thinking too much. When I'm drinking, then I'm drinking too much. I'll do anything to get to the rush. Now
one of your songs, it's called "Cut to the Feeling," is actually featured on Buddha Jams. I don't know if you know this. So this is
didn't know this.
Pete Buttigieg, so the Democratic candidate, has one of your songs on his campaign playlist.
Well, there
what are
you
your thoughts
go.
about that?
I mean, groovy. I'm down. I mean, I didn't know that until now. So
Okay.
great news.
Good news.
Yeah.
Perfect. A pivotal moment in your career came in 2015 with the release of your third album, Emotion. You worked with producers who have a lot of indie cred, like Dev Hynes, aka Blood Orange, and Sia. Was that an intentional pivot towards more kind of an indie sound?
I mean, yeah, maybe just what I was attracted to. I love pop. I was trying to discover what it was I loved so much about pop, coming from a family that was like very much more like folk influenced. I was sort of like this crazy child who was really into the Spice Girls, and they didn't understand where I came from. But I also, I loved the music that my parents loved too, and I wanted to find sort of what it was about the storytelling of people like the James Taylors of the world and the Spice Girls, and how could I figure out what was my happy medium place in between those things. So Dev, I just kind of fell in love with what he did with Solange. Sia, I had been a fan of when I was like bartending and she like played in Vancouver back in the day before she was doing like big stadiums. So these were just natural connections of flavors that I was interested in versus like a big sort of strategy. And then the album just kind of came together naturally after that.
So you were born in the 80s, grew up in the 90s, and pop music at the time was very manufactured for girl and boy bands. It was a little bit of a dirty word, but these days, songwriters are really kind of making a comeback in pop music. Have you noticed a shift in the industry?
I mean, if you look back, it's been changing always. I think it's kind of even less defined as one thing anymore, which is lovely. And I think even being a pop artist isn't just one sort of cookie cutter thing. It's just, I used to think, and I was wrong, but you had to look a certain way or dance a certain way and dress a certain way. And all of those sort of rules in my head have dissipated. And I realized that it's like the unique parts of you are the things to let shine. Mm-hmm. And it's been a career-long lesson, lifelong lesson.
Amazing. And you worked with Max Martin, the Swedish hit machine.
The god of pop music,
That's
as
right.
we call him.
Because he's worked with big stars, Robin, Britney, the Backstreet Boys. What was that like?
He's just as humble as you'd want him to be, considering the amount of achievements he's had in his one career. I was really, like, I'd always hoped one day that I would meet him. He's sort of the Wizard of Oz of pop music. So, and I was lucky enough to go and stay with him in Sweden and had a couple days. This was like way back more for the Kiss era of my career, and we did Tonight I'm Getting Over You. That was his song with a couple other writers, and it was like so nervous to cut vocals in front of him. But I did make a promise to myself, and this is a pact before Call Me Maybe and everything, that if I ever met him, that I would sing him this one little hook for a song called Didn't Just Come Here to Dance. And sure enough, our session was over. I was flying back the next day, and I was like, I'm gonna regret it if I don't just sing this for you. And I did. And he ended up staying a little bit later, working on it with me, hooking me up with a guy from LA where I was heading back to, and that song ended up making it on to Emotion. So he really is like generous with his time. He wants other creators to explore and to do well.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What an experience.
Yeah.
When no one loves you like they really mean it, I got you covered under covers. Can you feel it? Oh, with you, I could get bolder. I just wanna get a little bit closer. Gonna press you to the pages of my heart.
Now, one of your earlier supporters was then a very young Justin Bieber.
Yes.
Are you guys still in touch?
No, I mean, I haven't really spoken to him in ages, but I'm kind of in touch with his team enough to know that, things are going good. So yeah.
Would you ever want to work with him?
We did. I mean, early on, when I was first, my Alice in Wonderland trip, I call it, when I first landed in Los Angeles, one of the direct kind of flights was from there to Justin's studio by car. And when we got there, he was like, do you want to be in this duet with me? And I was just like, sure, why not? And that's sort of how my life was going at that time. But no, we haven't really collaborated in a long time.
Sounds like a fairy tale.
It was really strange.
So you're here to perform in Paris. What what is your relationship with France and your French fan base?
I love it here. I love everyone over here too. It's just like the most romantic city, and if you know anything about me, I'm a sucker for romance. So yeah, yesterday we had a bit of time off to go and do some shopping. I bought lots of hats. I think I'm gonna become a crazy hat lady now. And went and had some escargot, the bread, the butter, the food, the people. There's nothing not to love.
Don't give it up. Don't say it hurts. 'Cause there's nothing like this feeling, baby. Now that I've found you, I want it all. No, there's nothing like this feeling, baby. Now that I've found.
So what's next on your wish list after this tour wraps up?
We have a couple summer festivals, Coachella, which will be my first time playing, which I'm really
Amazing.
excited for.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And then it's kind of going to be a question of like if there are B-sides is coming, if I get back in the studio, which we're talking about doing for whatever is next. I've been asked recently, like, what kind of music do you want to make next? And I'm like, I don't know. So that's going to, usually my process is that takes me a while to just like write in all different directions until I land on the thing that feels right.
Nice. So fans can expect a little bit of exploration and then maybe a new
Yeah,
album.
I'm going away for 4 more years. No, it won't be that long. But I definitely want to take some time with figuring out what I want to make next.
Well, we can't wait to see what's going to come next.
you.
Thank you so much for being on France
Oh,
Before.
thank you so much. It was lovely.
Sound